Bronco is here, the mascot, and so too the St Helens supporters, who, a little bit like Leeds last night, might just have one eye on a Challenge Cup semi-final next Saturday against the Leeds Rhinos. But let's take a check on the way the two sides line up. This is the London Broncos team. Richie Barnett at fullback, Nigel Roy, Tony Martin, Greg Fleming, Marvin Golden. A huge boost earlier today. Jim Dimmock was past fit. He'll take his place alongside Dennis Moran at halfback. And the forward pack, Scott Cram, Jason Hetherington the captain, Justin Dooley, Shane Millard and Steele Retchless, and Andrew Johnson is the loose forward. They're just about at full strength then. On the bench, Tony Mestrov, Brett Wharton, Matt Toshak and Yusuf Sozi, and the coach is Tony Ray. Cool evening here in London SE7 for the arrival of the Super League and World Club champions. Paul Wellens at fullback, Sean Hoppy, Kevin Iro, Paul Newlove and Steve Hall, preferred in the side to Welsh international Anthony Sullivan, Tommy Martin and Sean Long at halfback. The Saints pretty much at full strength too. Sonny Nicol, Kieran Cunningham, David Furley, Chris Joynt their captain, Peter Shields, and Paul Sculthorpe returns at loose forward. And on the bench, Wayne McDonald, Tim Yonkers, John Stankovic, Anthony Stewart. The coach is Ian Millward. And Chris Joynt leads his men onto the field, the Super League champions. They lost in round one to the Bradford Bulls, 31-24. They beat Huddersfield last week, but they can ill afford another defeat. They will be 4 points behind Wigan, and Chris Joynt knows that better than most. The Saints, 2 wins here last year, 26-20 in May, 38-12 in September. And Jason Hetherington leads the London Broncos onto the field. They're still searching for their first win. You may remember, if you saw them the opening weekend here on Sky Sports, they built up an 18-0 lead against the Leeds Rhinos. Eventually they lost 50 points to 18. Then they lost 16-11 to Halifax last Sunday. Ian Millward, the coach of the St Helens team, and it is Ian's wife Leanne's birthday at home this evening. He's sorry, he says, that he's not with her, but I'm sure that they will be making up for lost time when he gets home. It's a big birthday for Leanne. I don't know whether I should tell you this. She is 40 today. Well, let's hope that the Saints can give her a birthday present to remember. Ian Smith is the match referee. Big night for him as well. And Steve-O, this is the night for the Broncos particularly to stand up and be counted.
Well, they spent heavily in the off-season. A lot of expectation from the so-called Australian stars, and I think they will acquit themselves quite well. The defence was pretty good against Halifax last week, but we'll have to wait and see. Can they really match it with the World Club champion St Helens? It will not be easy for them.
It won't be easy. St Helens are a match for anyone on their day. Just ask the Brisbane Broncos about that. Kieran Cunningham fires the ball out from the play of the ball, but that's good defence early from the Broncos here. Dimmock was in very quickly on Paul Newlove. He'll be glad to get that tackle in. This is David Furley. Furley gets to his feet. It's now Kieran Cunningham. Cunningham bounces away from the first challenge, tries to go through the gap. Big hit by Jason Hetherington in the end. And you can probably hear the referee in the background. It's Ian Smith. He really does have the loudest voice in Super League. You'll be able to hear him all the way through this evening, I'm sure. This is Marvin Golden now for the Broncos, almost away. Good tackling in the end from Sculthorpe and Shields.
Not a bad kick and chase there, pretty powerful in defence also, the Saints. You mentioned the fact that they've got that semi-final. It could be on the St Helens players' minds. Oh, that's a good half break, just got away there.
Jim Dimmock eventually was finished off by Tommy Martin. That will be a great battle tonight. Dimmock against Martin, and also Long against Moran.
Just getting back to that semi-final situation, I'm sure that the Saints coach Ian Millward, he'll be looking at the league table knowing that if they lose tonight, they will be out of the 5, and that's something he certainly doesn't want. That's a bad mistake by the prop forward.
Yes, not normally what you would associate with Justin Dooley, but he lost the ball there. Maybe trying to get on with it just a little bit too quickly. Well, that scrum was an awful mess, but the referee says play on. Sculthorpe wheeled away. Millard got to him with the tackle. Here is Sean Long now. He gets it away to Shields. Shields then dumps it back to Long, and Long has to run laterally before he gives the pass to Joynt. He flicks it then back on his inside, and Newlove is scragged to the floor.
Well, a good ball and all tackle by the loose forward Andy Johnson, but it always worries me when they go high on the big fella Paul Newlove. You've got to go low on him.
Nicol to his feet, Cunningham, the Welsh international, to Sean Long, on then to Paul Sculthorpe, little dummy, and fortunately for London, Millard would not be beaten by that. This is Shields, now it's with Iro. Good defence so far from London. It's the last one.
A little bit flat there in the attack, St Helens, really not coming onto the football. Here's the kick.
Long dabs it through. It's well picked up, but a good chase back. Flick back in the in-goal area, risky business. Golden was there, but the London man was being dragged back towards his own line. It was Jim Dimmock, and if he'd have been tackled over that line, it would have been drop out under the sticks.
Well, there was quick thinking there by the standoff. Realised that he was on his way under the in-goal area.
St Helens offside, too quick at the play the ball.
Well, that is relief for the Broncos, and you could see there he had plenty to choose from. The man in the middle, Ian Smith, leading the way was the hooker, Kieran Cunningham. Now then, first real chance for the Broncos. I know they've been working very hard on set moves this week.
Well, here they are, maybe their first opportunity. Millard, though, disappears. That is Tony Ray on the right, and his number 2, Damien McGrath. That's the coaching duo here in London. Tony Ray, the rookie coach in Super League. I know that Brian Noble is first-year coach as well, but he has been understudy to Matthew Elliott and Brian Smith successively at the Bradford Bulls. Tony Ray here is on his own really for the very first time. Dimmock.
Such a key player, of course, been struggling with injury since he came from Australia, the standoff Jim Dimmock, but his combination with Dennis Moran tonight will be so important. It's a good high kick.
It's a great kick, and Hall is underneath it, behind his own try line. He diffuses that bomb, and Steve Hall was put under all sorts of pressure last week by the Huddersfield Giants with kicks like that, and Tony Ray has been studying the videos, obviously.
Well, it's a bit shaky, as you mentioned, against Huddersfield, and he's squared it up now. London this time offside. Obviously the official wants a clean open game, so do we. Let's hope that the players learn very quickly.
That's a dreadful kick from St Helens.
Well, they just completely lost the plot there, trying to get on with the game a little bit too quickly.
Tommy Martin, the kicker, and you would usually guarantee he would find touch, but it was an anguished cry when he kicked that. A little grimace as well.
Well, they do get the ball back. They've got to drop out from the 22.
But they should have been applying pressure up the other end now with a restart from the tap on that far side. As it is, they're just now at the halfway line on the second tackle. And that's Paul Wellens, the fullback, gets to his feet. Cunningham. Here now is Fairley. That's a great ball and a great run. He's got Long on his inside, or maybe he should have passed.
Well, he was crowding out towards the wing. Not much room to move. Perhaps if he took the right option by just making sure that he took the play, the ball, but that was a good work by Fairley. Normally plays in the second row, playing prop tonight.
Long with the ball to Martin. Martin just stuttered, tried to get round Johnson, and with help from Dimmock he got him down. Newlove with the pass, but under pressure. The ball is not out, and it's with London now. Tony Martin the first to react.
Well, not the best pass, but Kevin Iro thought that he was offside there. I'm not so sure. I think that should have been okay. He went past the advantage line. There's a pretty strong tackle. It was good work from Nigel Roy. Well, a mistake coming up from Saints.
So it's London who are in possession. Dimmock gets the ball away, and there's Tony Martin.
To be fair, over the years, Eddie, this clash between the Broncos and Saints, they usually serve up an absolute cracker, don't they?
Yes, we've had some great games down here in the capital between these two in the past, but the remarkable thing about this match is that London have never, ever beaten St Helens in the capital for 20 years. If you look back across the records, there it is, just the one victory for London in 19 meetings, and that victory, see here at London, 9 and zip as far as London Broncos are concerned, but that one victory was at Nosey Road just a couple of years ago.
And they won't if they keep kicking like that. That was a poor kick by Dennis Moran. Straight down the throat of Steve Hall. You've got to make sure your kicking game is spot on. Wigan showed that last night. It was absolute superb performance, especially in the first half in the kicking department.
It's on the last here, and there's the kick from long. That's very deep, but it forces Nigel Roy to bring the ball out, and he finds Richie Barnett, and Barnett's off on his first run. What a great run from Barnett! The New Zealand World Cup captain is being tracked by Newlove. It's a great chase back, but a wonderful break from the London fullback.
Great work though from Paul Newlove.
Here's Martin, he's found Dimmock, and Dimmock's wrapped up by Sculpall.
Well, Newlove's not noted for his speed, more of his strength, but he got back there so quick. I think he shocked Richie Barnett.
Barnett was striding out and looked like he might make it all the way to the line. But that has lifted London's spirits, there's no doubt about that. This now is Greg Fleming. And London inside the Saints' 20-metre zone. Golden, the dummy half. Moran, and he finds Dooley, the big man, and he is wrestled to the ground by Cunningham. Super tackle from the Welsh international. Hetherington. Moran again. Wide to Dimmock. The runner arrives, and it's Barnett. He loses it.
Well, the man that set it all up to apply the pressure, the full-back, Richie Barnett. Top quality player, you could see that when he made the break. But was that reefed away? Either way, it went backwards, so that's the reason why it was play on. Ball control is vital.
Yes, it is. And no one knows that right now more than Richie Barnett. But what a break, and it's visibly lifted the London Broncos. Iro, though, shrugs away from Moran. Oh, he tried to get the ball away to Sean Hoppy, and he got tangled up with himself then, did Kevin Iro. Shane Millard is down on his haunches. He got a bang in all of that. This now is Steele Retchless.
Well, there's a knock-on first there from the big fella Iro, and I think Golden just juggled with it. Referee Ian Smith says, get up and just play the ball.
Millard looks as though he's all right. Now this is Dooley, and arriving is Johnson. Johnson onto Cram, and Cram gets it away to Dimmock again.
Pretty solid defence, though. You could see that they were well wrapped up, even when Dimmock was just receiving that football.
Cram dummy half. Johnson with the kick. It's a chase for Roy, and Martin is there, but Wellens is there also. He's fumbled it, and that's a good run from Martin. Wellens is trapped in goal. Dropout coming up from underneath the St Helens posts.
Great kick through. And he was in all sorts of trouble, wasn't he? This is the break from the fullback, Richie Barnett. He thought he was sailing through, and he looked behind. What a great effort from Paul Newlove. As I say, not noted for his speed, but he certainly was on that occasion.
Drop out from underneath their own posts, and it arrives eventually in the arms of Justin Dooley, and Dooley picks up pace and drives it in, and Cunningham stood his ground.
Well, he never moved, did he, Cunningham there? Solid as a rock, the hooker. Well, I think Justin Dooley looked in absolute amazement there.
Hetherington inside to Scott Cram. Barnett was hunting on his left shoulder. Hetherington again. Dennis Moran. London have lifted after that run from Barnett. The confidence is flowing through the London team. Dooley is in a dummy half. Big man bends down, picks it up and gives it to Moran. Moran takes them on. Good tackle that. It had to be by Peter Shields. Dimmock, lovely ball back on the inside. Retchless. Retchless on the bounce to Moran. Moran with the jab through, and they're there. Martin, Tony Martin, if he's onside, has got the first try.
Let's just check the onside on the ground.
Great work, beautiful kick from Dennis Moran.
Early decision to be made by the video ref.
Back on the inside. Now here comes the tackle, and he just floats it. Retchless said, let's have a go. Now look for Moran. Martin's in the headgear. He's coming back onside. Oh, this is be a try. He's well behind. Well, that is well poached.
Well, he was also wanting them to check, Steve-O, on the grounding of the football as well.
I think that's okay. And you can see quite clearly that it's about a good metre behind the kicker. As soon as it's made the contact. No doubt about it. Wellens just maybe got a boot to it. I think that he'll be given the benefit of the doubt, though. This will be TRY for mine.
Well, Steve-O has not yet got one wrong in 2001. Tony Martin with the try, and Tony Martin is already lining up the conversion attempt here because, of course, Brett Wharton, regular goal kicker, is out on the bench.
Well, it was good play. They took the gamble, kept it alive. Retchless certainly did that. What a great step from Moran. But good work there by Martin. Mainly due to the fact that Martin knew when Moran took the football, Martin took 2 steps back, put himself onside. Quick thinking.
This for a 6-0 lead against the champions, but he's pushed it in front of the posts. But Martin's try separates the two. It's 4-0.
We'd have to point the finger at the St. Helens defence. They were very slack. Let's take nothing away from the Broncos' first try. It was a good combination, neat kick from Dennis Moran, and well finished off by the live wire centre, Tony Martin. Well, it's a start that they've always wanted. Well, they did this against Leeds, remember?
Yes,
and they just collapsed.
They were 18-0 up against Leeds. They were 16-0 up against Hull in the Cup, and as you say, collapsed with a capital C. But Tony Martin back with London after 3 years with the Melbourne Storm. This is his second stint, and what a wonderful start. But Steve-O, you can go right back to that Richie Barnett run. Suddenly, I think London got the belief that St. Helens are not, or rather, yes, that St. Helens are not invincible.
Well, that's a bad mistake, though. Just when you're on the roll, you come up with a silly error like that. I'm not so sure that that went forward. I think it's been badly done to there, Dennis Moran.
Just the start Tony Ray wanted this. 13 minutes gone, 4-0. But not what he would have wanted from his scrum half, Moran. Now, what have St. Helens got in reply? Fleming with a good tackle low down, finished off by Moran. That was Iro who was tackled. This is Hoppy now.
Well, that's a sort of defence that would please the coach. Tony Ray. Ian Millwood doesn't look too concerned. Only 4 points adrift.
But he knows the fighting spirit of his team of champions.
He must be a little bit concerned over the fact that they were extremely slow when Moran got. Oh, that's great defence.
Millard with the tackle on Cunningham. Shields scampers into dummy half. Long to Sculthorpe. Wide it goes to Martin.
Oh, bad mistake from the captain. No advantage. Oh, he's going to let it go. Well, I'm not so sure that Scott Cram thought that he'd got an advantage. They lost about 5 metres there from where the scrum should have been. Bad mistake, coming up with the errors. They look somewhat lethargic with the Saints. Maybe you're right, Eddie. They may have that semi-final ringing in their ears.
Well, I noticed that Dean Lance blamed the semi-final on Leeds' lethargy last night after the match. Millard's away from Iro. Can't get away from Shields. Good ball, though, to Cram. Here's Barnett. Barnett's seen a hole. He's got men out wide. Martin's one of them. Martin is in for a second. The ball was turned over, and the Broncos cut the world champions open. Well, the big question now is, can the Broncos hold on to this?
And they don't come much better than this. This was an absolute belter. Okay, he juggled it. They went far too high. Sculthorpe went too high on Millard. Kept it alive, and Richie Barnett. This is the reason they paid big biggies for this guy. Beautiful run on the angle, and so did Martin. This is the knock-on when it all started. Come up with the mistakes. Leeds came up with plenty last night. Wigan made them suffer. This is outstanding. Great work from Millard. Support play was superb. Look how he does the angle run and the step. Just pulled in Steve Hall. There was a gap there, and Martin, try number 2 for him. Troubled times for Mr. Millwood, perhaps.
Yes, problems for Ian Millwood, and Tony Martin, who has scored the 2 tries, kicking again here. As I mentioned earlier, Brett Wharton is on the bench. Martin, not a regular goal kicker, but he has kicked goals in the past. Well, this is far more difficult than his first effort, and that wasn't too easy. He's got a chance with this one, but this time he's pushed it the other side of the post. 8-0, London over Saints.
Well, a tremendous effort. You can see there when Barnett went through, there's Hall. He's all on his own. He had the overlap. Look at the step here from Barnett. That was superb. Once he made that step, Hall was committed to go for him. The gap was there.
Well, can they hang on? Indeed, can they build on this and then hang on? This is a dangerous territory for London. They've built an early lead. They're 16 and a half minutes in. It was around about this point against Leeds 3 weeks ago that they collapsed.
Oh, they've come up with an error. The try scorer, Martin. It was a delayed pass. Bit of a problem there. Now, I questioned their fitness, Eddie, when they collapsed against Leeds. And I do know that they've been working very, very hard in that department. They admitted they didn't think that they were really fully match fit. But they seem as though they're up for it now. Can they last the 80 minutes?
Well, if you're not motivated against the champions and the World Club champions, you'll be motivated against nobody. Hoppy. There was maybe a hint of forward from that from Shields. There was a great cry from the crowd over on the far side. Touch judge and referee, though, deny the London crowd and the London players.
Well, Tony Ray, the Broncos coach, was impressed with the defence against Halifax. OK, they didn't come away with the 2 points, but he knows that that's the key now. They really have got to work hard for each other. Can they do it?
Well, they've got one more tackle, this set of 6 to hang on. And this is Martin. He drops it down. Ball flicks all over the place. That could be a try. This could be a try for Newlove.
Let's have a look for the knock-on.
Was there a knock-on there? Was there a knock-on by Martin? Was there a knock-on by Newlove?
I think there was. There's Martin throwing the dummy, trying to go through. And that's the knock-on. It's in front of him. This will be NOTRY. They weren't going to be fooled. Yeah, and that's in front. That's all the video referee will be looking for. And I think it's quite conclusive that the ball is not knocked away by a London player. It's come off Tommy Martin's hand. Quite clear to mine. Now then, will this video referee keep my 100% going? I think so. NOTRY.
Well, at least you can spell
The
two
small
and three
ones,
letter words.
of
Yeah.
course.
And you're right again. It's the handover. Newlove had got it down cleanly, but it was the knock-on by Tommy Martin. So London will breathe a sigh of relief. Here goes Nigel Roy now for the Broncos.
This is where they've got to keep their composure. The London side, not be too fancy. Getting an 8-point lead against the champions is a luxury that they've got to try to protect. That's a good kick.
It's a great kick by Moran. Wellens is down near his own try line and picks it up, and you will notice that this valley pitch tonight will start to cut up, I think, during the course of this game. Let me tell you that yesterday afternoon and around about this time there was absolutely no chance that this game would be played. The pitch here was waterlogged, but the Charlton ground staff have worked overtime to get the match on, and well, if London go on and win this game, they'll be well pleased. As it is, they've just conceded a penalty.
Credit to the ground staff to get it ready, but that was a silly play by Greg Fleming. Tackle already completed. Just dropped on it, the flop.
Nicol. Oh, and he flicked the ball straight into the arms of Justin Dooley. Now, was there a call there?
Of course there was, no doubt about it. You can see Dooley saying, inside. Oh, that's a great break.
Away goes Johnson. He's got Martin in support. He won't need him. Johnson gets the try. Andy Johnson. 3 tries for London. And that, a terrific break, and they've got some pace, London. Andy Johnson, first try of the year, formerly with Wigan. That'll be a sweet moment.
Well, this was a call, and Nicol offloaded it with glee. Justin Dooley trapped it up. It's very rare you see Chris Joint missed a tackle like that. He just threw a simple dummy, raised his arm, dived over, didn't really need it, didn't need any support. Good work from Johnson. He got into top gear very quickly indeed. The Broncos, they're kicking, and kicking hard.
Yes, Paul Wigan against Saints in the 1997 Premiership final. He once scored a try. That was a sweet moment. But what a sweet moment for Tony Ray. Obviously under pressure down here in the capital. They've spent big in the winter, and the new coach still without a win, but let's not tempt fate. And they've scored 3 tries and they haven't kicked one of them.
Well, that could prove costly.
At 6 points tossed away, but the regular kicker, Brett Wharton, is on the bench. And it shows, Steve-O, in this modern game, you cannot really enter a top-flight match in Super League without a recognised kicker.
Well, if they score tries like this, they probably won't need it, but I think when it comes down into the wash, you're probably right. They certainly would have loved to have had that extra 6. Then that would have been a replica of what occurred against Leeds. Must be going through the minds now of St Helens. A big problem for Ian Millward, their coach, is that all those 3 tries have come down on the left-hand side. That gives you some indication that Tony Ray has certainly been doing his homework. A bit of a problem on the left-hand side with the centre, and of course the winger Steve Hall, who was having a bit of a nightmare against Huddersfield last week.
London have got another penalty. Tim Yonkers, second snap.
Well, little doubt about it. The players are fully aware of the 7 sins that Eddie keeps bringing out.
2 apiece though on the penalty count. 12-0 on the scoreboard. And we're coming up to danger zone for London. 22 minutes on the watch. Millard hangs on.
St Helens defence very slow. They're hesitating. You see, when it gets to the second man, they're hanging off. They're looking to see what they're doing. They've really got to get back into the smother defence.
Dooley. St Helens just hanging off. They're allowing the big rampaging London forwards to get up ahead of steam. And they're making valuable ground. Dimmock dabs it through it. That bounced off a St Helens man. It's hacked forward. And Moran's after this. And it was good play by Wellens. He guarded it all the way to the line.
Or was he held back? Deliberately holding back slightly there from Wellens. Just brushed aside by the official Ian Smith. Well, they really are on the rack, aren't the Saints? They've got to roll the sleeves up now. And I'm sure going through the mind of Tony Ray, the Broncos coach, if you say, right, can we hang on to this? It's so important.
O'Fairley does well. He releases Shields. Shields then spins the ball to Sculthorpe. Here is Yonkers. Little gap opens up for Yonkers. Back it goes to Sculthorpe. London just hesitating. Dimmock was in there very quickly.
Pretty hard tackle as well. Sculthorpe didn't like it. Sculthorpe, of course, coming back from a broken jaw. So he'll be a bit timid.
Well, he mightn't be now. He got a good crack on the face then. Here is Tommy Martin. Back it goes to Sean Long. Bounces away from 2. Long. Typical scampering run, but he's lost ground there. That's good defence.
Sure is. They're forcing Saints into one-out football.
That's the last tackle. And here is Martin. Now it's with Sculthorpe, and he puts a good kick in. It's a tester for Marvin Golden. And he came up with the goods with Marvin Golden.
Good work from Fleming there. Helped the winger. It was a good kick. Well, Sculthorpe got plenty of height on it. Oh, there's a mistake.
Now, Barnett's pass was flicked forward by Newlove. A knock-on. Referee will put the scrum down. Well, 12-0 London. 24 minutes gone. But Phil Clark on the sideline. The London Broncos look a totally different outfit with Jim Dimmock on the pitch, don't they?
They certainly do, Eddie. We've known for years that they've had the workhorses in Millard and Retchless, but have they had the class to get points on the board? Dimmock, Moran, Barnett, and in particular Andy Johnson have really been a different class. But one thing you've got to remember, 12 points is never enough when you're playing St Helens. Don't forget they came from behind to beat the Brisbane Broncos by a deficit greater than this, and really those missed kicks will go against them. The St Helens, when they get their hands on the ball, they have the ability, they've just not controlled possession enough to get themselves in the field position to do something with it.
I wonder, Phil, whether you can hear how London are breathing. Are they breathing heavily? Do they seem fitter than they were 3 weeks ago?
Well, they've had the majority of possession, and that always helps, doesn't it? You're more tired when you're defending, and as long as they control possession, it's big kick deep downfield now. Just look at the interest and enthusiasm in the chase. Ball going too far. Let's see the line up here now in defence, and at the moment the tails are up, everybody working hard. St Helens can kill you, and they can kill you from inside their half, so this is when you've really got to have your concentration.
There's the possession, Steve-O, in the opposition half. London, 10 minutes.
A typical example, Wigan, full control, interference yet again at the play of the ball. At least the official Ian Smith is consistent. Not allowed to touch them, never mind push them, and you could see Dennis Moran, the culprit. And it's just little things like that in discipline that can allow Saints back into it. Remember, if Saints get on a roll, they've got all the firepower out there. They can score from anywhere on the park.
That's what they're trying to do now with David Fairley. Inside the 20-metre zone they are, and Sculthorpe gets them to within 10. Back it goes to Cunningham. Cunningham, a difficult man to put down, but it's a bad pass and picked up by Fleming.
Well, that really was a gift. He telegraphed that, did the hooker, Cunningham. Fleming said, thank you very much indeed. Mistakes are plenty from both sides, but it's the Broncos who've got the points on the board, and it will only frustrate this St Helens outfit.
Here is Dimmock. Hangs on, Jim Dimmock.
Always likes to play just a little bit wide of the ruck, so they're not using him as the first man, which is good ploy.
That was a lovely ball from Barnett to Dimmock. On it goes to Johnson.
I must say that's been one highlight from the Broncos so far in this game. Their support play has been good. That's a neat little kick.
Moran with a dink over the top. They, of course, lost their way when Dennis Moran went off against Leeds as well. We shouldn't forget that. Moran was directing them around the park, and with Moran and Dimmock there, they've got their first choice stand-off and scrum half, haven't they?
Well, he's certainly a talented player. It's one thing that the London side for a couple of seasons have missed is a little halfback that can engineer it there. Well, they must have pretty keen eyes, this Ian Smith. He got Tony Martin for offside about 30 metres behind him.
Yes, he did. He allowed St Helens the advantage when none was forthcoming. He blew for the penalty. That's why St Helens are in possession here with Chris Joynt.
Well, Saints really have to step up a gear. They've got to start rolling the sleeves up and getting into some hard work. Forwards taking it forward, making sure that they try to suck in the defence. Then they can start to do the fancy work. But hard work's the key now.
Yonkers to Wellens. Wellens straightens it up. The young full-back. Good run from Paul Wellens. St Helens now are in the danger zone, and a couple of tackles this set of 6 left. It's with Long, and Long fancies it, but he's hauled down 3.5, 4 metres short. Hoppy on the last. Cunningham. Hoppy, Shields, dink over the top, and that was easy for Richie Barnett. They're losing their way a little.
Well, they certainly are when you've got to have a second row like Peter Shields having to put the kick in there. That means that the likes of Sean Long, Tommy Martin, they're not controlling things out there. You've got to shout. Your kickers have got to control it and say, give it back to me. They knew it was the last. They've lost their way a bit, and they are missing tackles.
Retchless plays the ball. Here is Hetherington. Toshak has arrived into the fray. Matt Toshak, he goes down.
It's been a long time since I've seen a side get over the advantage line so easily against the Saints side. The crowd don't like it. They thought it should be penalised. Certainly messing around at the play of the ball. But Saints have to get into their faces if they want to get back into this game.
Here's Dimmock now. He bounces away, waits for the support. He's still there, is Dimmock. Good hands, a little dab through. big chase on here. Wellens had to be brave and was. Saw that Dooley was after him. Well, Ian Millwood, the St Helens coach, 36 league and cup games in charge, just 5 defeats. Is it going to be a half a dozen here tonight? 12-0, London Broncos ahead. We're about half an hour into this match. Mestrov has come on for Scott Cram.
Well, who would have thought it if it stays like this? Saints out of the top 5.
Long with a good run. Well, we saw Barnett's run lift the Broncos earlier. Has that run from Long lifted the Saints? Sculthorpe crashed through and has lost it.
Well done there from Moran. Offside yet again. Well, he's persistent. Surely the message is getting across to these players now. And that's all you can expect from a referee. If he's working and pinning both sides for offences, and he's doing that. That's a final 10 minutes now for the Broncos.
Mestrov is there, as we said.
They've got to go in at half-time, Eddie, with this commanding lead. That'll lift their spirits even more.
Well, a lead will do. Never mind commanding.
No,
the way it's been, a lead will do.
It's important. If St Helens get points on the board, they know they're back in the game. They've got to put doubt in the Saints' minds for the half-time break. And I'm sure that's what Tony Ray will be getting out to his charges, saying, look, we've got to control this. We've got to get doubt in their minds for the break.
Dimmock is at the heart of everything. Here is Johnson. Johnson straightens up, and Shields got to him.
Little doubt that Dimmock is controlling things out there. The combination between him and Moran has been superb so far.
Barnett! He releases the ball off the knees, does Barnett, and that's good defence from St Helens.
Now I'd be thinking perhaps for a one-pointer.
There's Mestrov, they're coming wide. Hetherington keeps it going. It's flicked back then to Retchless, and here is Barnett again. This tall, long-striding Kiwi, Mestrov. Not the best ball, almost fumbled. He gave himself up then, Golden.
Well, I thought that perhaps would have been going backwards, but he just hesitated, and that influenced the referee. Perhaps it is a knock-on.
Well, they spurned the opportunity of a one-pointer.
Well, I'd have certainly been looking at it. I know it's pretty heavy out there, but I would have gone for it. Oh, he's got to start doing something about it now. If he's penalising them virtually every 5 minutes either side, he's got to bring the two skippers in and say, hey, come on. I'm not getting the message across. There's only one way you're going to do that, and just give him the hint of the yellow card. Not show it, of course, but just warn them. Next one. And 10 minutes in the sin.
Bin. Sculthorpe to Fairley. Fairley stepped away from a couple, but couldn't get away from Hetherington or from the big man Dooley. Cunningham to Long, Long to Martin, Martin wide, it goes to Iro.
Great defence. They weren't going to be kidded by the two dummy runners. They picked Iro out straight away.
Hall gets away from Dimmock. This is Tommy Martin, Retchless with the tackle. Now then Cunningham, what can he do? He's taking them on. It's a flop by Mestrov.
Now then, will they take the two? I think they might.
Well, Tommy Martin's having a look around. No, they're running it. And here is Long. And now it's with Sculthorpe. It's a good job that Toshak got to him. Shields. Long. This is concerted pressure from St Helens. Can they make it pay this time? Or can London's defence stand firm? Cunningham is there, looking for the runners. Cunningham hanging on and going alone.
Well, this is where Sean Long has to come into his own. He's got the speed off the mark as a little halfback.
Cunningham gets to his feet eventually. Shields a dummy half. Here's Tim Yonkers now. Hetherington got to him first. He was finished off then by Toshak. Sean Long. Tommy Martin. Good ball for forward.
Forward pass. Good tackle anyway. Just delayed it a fraction too long. Tommy Martin. And it just was. Iro received it. Get a better view from this angle. Yeah, just held it on too long.
Just watching over there behind the scrum, Jason Hetherington is going off. Shane Millard is coming back on. Well, Hetherington has been one of the key figures in the opening 34.5 minutes for London. Taking a breather.
Well, is that a tactical move or is there a problem? We'll soon find out. But
or is he worn out because he's been doing some tackling as Hetherington? Mind you, Dimmock's at the heart of it, Steve-O. He's at the heartbeat of the Broncos at the moment. Jim Dimmock.
Certainly is a two halfback set, but it's the fact that he's working way outside the ruck that's making it so important.
That came off Andy Johnson's legs. The referee, Ian Smith, says play on.
He's having a big game, isn't he? Loose forward Johnson.
5 minutes to go to half-time. Dimmock, inevitably. Dooley.
This is where you said, this is where you've got to settle things down and make sure that the kick and chase is good. Got to try to force Saints well and truly into, oh, that's a bit of a poor pass, and that means that it's a poor kick.
Yes, Fleming's kick was gobbled up by Wellens. Back comes St Helens. Hetherington, 13 tackles in the match so far, just taking a breather on the bench. Normally in a game an average makes 27 per match. Well, he's just about at the halfway mark as far as that's concerned. There's a mistake. That was right down round his ankles, McDonald. He's a big man, and Barnett will launch another London attack.
Well, they're out of sorts, aren't they? Yonkers dropping the football, far too many mistakes.
Well, I said that was round his ankle. It wasn't actually, was it?
Should have taken it.
He should have done. Wayne McDonald just on the field. Well, can London hang on to the lead up to half-time? Can they build on their lead before half-time? Dooley.
That's good work by the big prop forward, taking the short side, making sure... Oh, that's going to be interference. He's knocking down them.
No, it's a knock on.
That's the second one he's come up with, messing around instead of getting on with the job. He certainly lost it, but was he being interfered with? I mean, you can see there that Chris Joynt is interfering. Now, the referee is penalised, both sides, for anything like that up until this point. And I think it was Joynt that actually knocked it out as well. Well, a big chance now for Saints,
yes,
but that's great defence. Good work from the fullback. He's had a blinder of a first half, Richie Barnett.
Yes, he has. Him and Dimmock and Hetherington, who's off at the moment. It's been a good half so far for Tony Ray and Damien McGrath. But St Helens can hit you from anywhere. They've hit, or rather they've missed 15 tackles, the Saints, and they've come up with 11 handling errors. It's 7-5 to the Broncos.
Well, it's impossible for you to win any game if you continue in that pattern. That's something that Ian Millwood, the Saints coach, will have to sort out.
Newlove's made the break. And that's knocked back by Golden. It's going to be a try. And Hoppy has scored. Try for St Helens, just what London didn't want. It was Golden who knocked the ball forward. Then he lost his footing and he couldn't regather his feet. And Hoppy was on it in a flash.
Well, his strike, when you don't expect it, that was poor work there. First and second markers went to sleep. Newlove tried to get it around to Hoppy in the first place, but that is poor marking. And it was Steele Retchless that really got caught out there. And yet again, London have fallen for the sucker punch. With eyes on the half-time break, when they should have been in control, that's the sniff that the Saints wanted. That's the thing that'll lift them when they go into the half-time break. It'll be the heads of the Broncos that'll be going down now.
And the St Helens supporters, just what they required on the stroke of half-time. And for Sean Hoppy, his second try in a week. He got a try against Huddersfield last week. He was in really hot form in the playoff series last year, a try in all three, and as you saw there, including the grand final. Well, Sean Long, goal kicker in chief. And with this fella's quality with the boot, the 12-0 lead could be whittled down to 12-6 in a moment. Big kick this for both sides. Just pushes it the wrong side of the post. 12-4. We're approaching half-time in the Valley.
There you see the second marker doing the right thing, coming out wide. It leaves the first marker the opportunity to fill in. It wasn't too much of a dummy, but it was effective. Golden did well to smother it, but couldn't gather it. Hoppy picks up the crumbs. Well, it's not a full meal, but they know perhaps that might be the entree. And the big meal could come Saints' way in the second half.
You'll be around for supper, though, I'm sure. Well, this should be the last play of this first half. We're beyond the 40-minute mark now. There's the half-time siren, and an excellent first half for Justin Dooley and the London Broncos. 12 minutes, Martin with a try. 4 minutes later, Martin with number 2. 2 tries for him, but he's missed with the conversions of all 3 tries, maybe crucially at the end of the day. Andy Johnson getting a third in 21 minutes for the London Broncos. They led by 12 points to nil. Right on the stroke of half-time, Sean Hoppy with the try that gives the Super League champions hope for the second half. The Broncos are ahead 12-4. Barnett's had a wow of a game. Martin's caught the eye. 2 tries from him. Can the Broncos hang on?
Me against Barrera. There's gonna be a bang, and you're gonna hear it. It's gonna be a war. 35 fights, 35 wins. It's time to prove who's the best.
Judgment Night, April the 7th, Sky Box Office. You can order this event for $11.95, 48 hours before it starts, using your digital remote control. See Channel 770 for ordering information.
It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. Some people might say my life is in a rut. Quite happy.
You all right, sir? Is it hemorrhoids?
Thank you.
Hiya.
I thought you were just nipping out to sign on.
Yeah, I did. You know what I'm like with shoes. Besides, it's payday.
Payday? Well, you better go and earn your money then. Mrs. Thompson's been waiting 10 minutes.
Okay.
People who commit benefit fraud are getting away with millions of pounds of your money. We aim to put a stop to it.
Tetley's bitter. Smoothly does it.
The closest shave is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Mach 3. Easy loading, easy rinsing, and 3 blades that shave closer in one easy stroke. Mach 3 from Gillette. Now, the closest shave guaranteed or your money back.
Well, there's more live cricket coming up for you tomorrow morning as we continue our exclusively live coverage of the one-day international series between Sri Lanka and England. The second one-day international starts at 9 o'clock in the morning, and it's live only on Sky Sports 2. Well, there's a surprising scoreline from the Valley. The Broncos are ahead by 12 points to 4. against the reigning Super League and world champion St Helens. Penalties, well, Saints have had the better of it there. The tackling, though, has been done in the main by London, but there's not too much to choose between the two. The missed tackles maybe is the important statistic there, but the Broncos making 11 breaks, and Barnett, Martin and Johnson the main breakers for the London Broncos. Hetherington has worked hard, hasn't he? He only lasted about half an hour, but it is a much better half-time team talk for Tony Ray now than it has been so far this season. Can they hang on, though? Or will the Saints, who have bounced back against the likes of Brisbane Broncos already this year, can they bounce back now against the London Broncos? Ian Millwood making a point or two, and of course a semi-final to come against the Leeds Rhinos next Saturday for a place in the Challenge Cup final at Twickenham. But it's all about Super League points today, and St Helens know if they lose here, they are 4 points behind the league leaders Wigan, so that is motivation enough. They don't want to be 4 points behind and out of the top 5 even at this very early stage of the season. But London Broncos have really taken the game to them, and Steve-O, the opening 21 minutes, well, they've done it against Leeds, they've done it against Hull, they've built up an advantage, but then they've fallen off, but they looked a lot more determined tonight.
Yeah, they certainly look a lot more fitter as well. Perhaps they will run the full 80 minutes. That we'll have to wait and see. As Eddie's mentioned, they have fallen apart early in this season, but can they hang on? A little bit spicy early on, but full credit to the London Broncos. They really did show their skills, especially the fullback Richie Barnett. This is the reason why they paid big bickies for him. He's got all the pace and certainly got the guile, but I think he was somewhat shocked. Yep, that's him. Paul Newlove, not noted for his speed, but this is an absolutely superb effort by the big St Helens centre. Stop that, but it wasn't to keep them at bay. Back on the inside. Good work there by Millard, keeping the ball alive. That's been one good thing about the Broncos tonight, is that their support play has been superb. The combination, the kick from Dennis Moran, and Martin in for his first try. Wasn't long after that they come up with an absolute cracker. Juggle the ball did Millard, but they kept it alive. Remember, I said that their opportunity to take their chances, good angle run. You could see there that Hall was sucked in and Martin in for number 2. St Helens shocked, and I think some of the London Broncos fans also a little bit confused. This was a knock-on from Tommy Martin. Don't know why it took so long for the video referee, but he did get it right, no doubt about it, the ball going forward. It was not touched by Shane Millard, so that was no try. And then what a great break from Johnson. Chris Joynt, very rare that he misses a tackle like that, but St Helens, their biggest problem is that they've been hanging back in the defensive line. Let's take nothing away from Johnson. That really was a great effort, but you have to pose the question, Eddie, once again. Will they last the full 80?
Well, that's the important thing, isn't it? Will they last the next 40 minutes? Can they hang on to this lead? Of course, the Saints got a wonderful little fillip right up towards half-time with the Sean Hoppy try. I wonder what Phil Clark makes of it all down on the sideline. Phil, I posed the question to you during the first half, whether you thought London were fitter than they were 3 weeks ago. What do you think now?
I still think it's very early in the season, and I think in the second half of the year, maybe they'll get it together a little bit more. Still a few players, only just coming into the side, and the time it'll take for them to build their teamwork. I think it's still early. You mentioned, can they hang on? I think it's important when you're playing St Helens not to go out with the mentality, can we hang on? They've got to go out there and try and score more points, because St Helens are so dangerous, and playing against them, every single play of the ball, you've got to be on guard, because they can score from every single one, and that's the attitude that the St Helens take into the game when they get possession. I don't think Ian Millward will be too worried about the scoreboard or the league table. The thing that he'll be most upset about at the moment are the handling errors that his side have come up with. Probably so uncharacteristic for St Helens, but they've just not given themselves a chance to get on the scoreboard with sufficient points by the amount of mistakes that they've made.
Phil, the one thing that always seems to, well, it baffles me sometimes about this London outfit is that when they get close to the half-time, they're so naive. They just seem to look towards the half-time hooter. That was awful play there. You could see that Steele Retchless just stood around in the first and second tackle.
Well, Paul Newlove's got better footwork than Michael Flatley, hasn't he? And if you give him a chance, he'll get through that gap. They took the chance so well. A little bit unfortunate, I thought, the Broncos. The decision just behind me with Justin Dooley. They said that it was a knock-on. I'm not sure, it was a bit messy. Could have been a penalty either way. Unfortunately, the thing is with St Helens, give them a chance and they'll get points on the board. And that's the important thing the Broncos will focus on. Not to give them a chance, to starve them of possession and keep them down furthest away from the Broncos line as possible, because that's what you've got to hope with when you're playing against the St Helens side.
Come on, Phil. Put your money where your mouth is. Will Saints win in the second half then?
Well, I've got a massive crowd here of Broncos fans behind him. He's shouting for the Broncos, but I really can't see they can hang on. I think with a bit of possession, St Helens players like Long and Martin will come up with something, and that'll get some points on the board. Unless, of course, Barnett, Dimmock and Andy Johnson can get even more points for the Broncos, but those missed goal kicks there could prove very costly.
Well done, Phil, and he always comes up with a little line, doesn't he, every time we go down to him. Paul Newlove's got better footwork than Michael Flatley. I love it. I really love it. Well done, Phil. Thanks very much for that. Well, I wonder whether Paul Newlove will come away with the Man of the Match award tonight, because, as always, we have got the Man of the Match trophy to give away. There it is. That's what will go home adorning the wrist of the Man of the Match. Phil and Steve-O will make the choice, and you too can have your say. As always, 09009 10 10 13 in the UK, 1550 92 35 56 in the Republic of Ireland. And the prize for you, not a watch, but 2 tickets to the grand final on Saturday, October the 13th. And every winner this year, as always, will go into the draw to win a VIP box at Old Trafford on the big night. Saturday, October the 13th, don't forget. And don't forget also, if you want to contact us at Sky Sports, the Rugby League department can be found on rugbyleague@skysports.com. You can give us any comments that you would like, rude or otherwise. And if you want any news of the world of Rugby League, it's www.skysports.com. So there it is. The London Broncos are ahead by 12 points to 4 at half-time. And it was Andy Johnson with the third London try that gave them a 12-0 lead. Can they hang on? Will they build? It's a very interesting second half that's on its way.
Flat TV from Philips, a new way to look at television.
Now you can get closer to the stars with the new Celebrity Pack Sunday magazine, free in this weekend's 50p News of the World. And there's bigger than ever weekly TV listings with fantastic soap and movie guides.
On March the 26th, Walt Disney Pictures presents Dinosaur.
We're going to make it.
Adventures don't come any bigger.
Our new home.
On video and Disney DVD.
Light to dark.
Yeah, no, that way.
See how people value the beauty around them?
Smashing. Dad? Yes? Do you want to go the other side of Mum?
See how people like a neighborly environment, but still enjoy privacy. Before we lay a brick, these are the needs we accommodate.
If you could bank a priceless moment, what would it be?
Swimming with dolphins. When my partner and I first laid eyes on each other.
My favorite white cat, Jasmine, went missing for 2 weeks. When she came back through the cat flap, joy.
Lloyd's TSB know that little things can mean a lot.
Hello.
And we have a lot of little improvements planned for this year. Lloyd's TSB, your life, your bank.
How long has this baking soda been in here?
I don't know. It came with the house.
One bet on the table.
Wow.
one new face in town.
Let me buy you a drink. We'll have a shot of cranberry schnapps. They're just painted on.
With one problem.
Beer is the nectar of the nitwit.
And one spoonful too many in a brand new episode, only on Sky One.
I won $50.
The Simpsons, tomorrow from 6 on Sky One.
More live championship boxing coming up for you here on Sky Sports. Tonight from 9:30 over on Sky Sports 1, Scott Harrison takes on Richie Wenton for the British and Commonwealth featherweight titles, followed by Clinton Woods against Ali Forbes for the WBC International light heavyweight title. And coming up Monday night, it's Ricky Hatton against Tony Pett for the WBU World Light Welterweight title. It's live championship boxing for you tonight and Monday right here on Sky Sports. Well, this is a heavyweight Super League battle, and it's London 12, St Helens 4 at half-time. London 12-0 up, then St Helens right on the stroke of half-time, getting just the fillip they need for this second half. Tommy Martin, who, along with Sean Long, of course, did so much to propel St Helens to the Super League Championship last year and their grand final success at Old Trafford. But Steel Wretchless and his London Broncos, they have tackled like demons, and I just wonder whether they have done enough work on the training field over the past 3 weeks since last we saw them to go on and claim what would be a famous victory against St Helens, because London have never ever beaten the Saints on London soil in league football in the past. It would be a big night for the Broncos if they won this.
Well, so much has been expected of them. They have splashed out big money for the likes of Richie Barnett, Jim Dimmock, of course, and they've certainly performed in that first 40 minutes, and it's so important now, and I'm sure that Tony Ray would have said to the players, look, let's try to get points on the board early, because it was a great lift for Saints to go in at half-time knowing that they'd gone in for a vital try.
Well, it's a crucial time to score, isn't it? But Dimmock has got the ball wide to Fleming. Long stood his ground and kept hold of him, and with Hobby dropped him to the ground. It's with Golden now. Here's Dennis Moran. On it goes to Dimmock, who has been so influential. What a lovely little dab over the top. St Helens have got it back, but Dimmock and Barnett particularly, Steve-O, in that first half with Hetherington. Barnett, though, with that run in the first half, and this fella, Jim Dimmock, they have given London direction, haven't they?
They certainly have, but not on this occasion, though. Just interfering, just a little push, perhaps milked, but they should know by now, and he'll be furious, will Tony Ray, the London coach, for a good opportunity, good field position. As I mentioned at half-time, you know, London, they're so naive at times. They just stepped off the pedal with only seconds remaining, and they allowed Saints to sneak in. They'll do that anytime. Give them half a chance.
Tommy Martin, 7-3. You might have noticed the penalty count in St Helens' favour. Tony Ray, the London coach, had one or two things to say about not getting the rub of the green when they were in the north of England last week from the referees. Well, they're 7-3 behind on the penalty count here tonight, and they're on home soil. And that was drilled straight into Shane Millard's breadbasket. It's the last tackle. Long was able to retain possession for his team, but, oh, well, Sculthorpe dropped that, and he just gave it up. And the London man, Millard, was far more enthusiastic to get to the football.
Good work from the second rower, Millard. He didn't take the gamble that it was going to be a knock-on. It would have been, but he said, let me get to the football first. Well, that'll certainly lift the spirits.
There's Millard, he spins away. That was a borderline pass to Dimmock. They're over halfway, are the Broncos. 3 tackles gone, 3 to go this set of 6. Dooley, Johnson, Moran. It's a morass that Moran finds himself in the middle of the valley there.
Well, he'll be happy with his first half, Moran, the half-back pairing with Jim Dimmock. I mentioned that He's working a little bit wide in the ruck as Jim Dimmock, and he's creating a lot of problems for this Saints defence.
The pitch might well take its toll as this goes on. Johnson was fed by Dimmock. That's the turnover. That was the last tackle. St Helens have got it back. Wonder what was said in the dressing rooms at half-time. Fascinating half-time team talks in both rooms. Bill.
And two pretty calm dressing rooms. Tony Ray, the London Broncos coach, delighted with that first 40 minutes, but he's told his players to forget all about it. They're starting again from half-time, and he wants a repeat of that first 40 minutes. Control, tight defence, completion, and keeping their discipline. They cannot afford to, as they've done once already this half, give Saints field position with penalties. Ian Millward, the St Helens coach, wasn't too fazed by the first half. He's not panicking. There's only 8 points in it. He's got confidence in his side's ability to get back into this game. He wants them to complete their sets of 6, get to the kick, cut out the errors. Too many handling errors from St Helens in that first 40 minutes. Cut that out, and they're confident that they can close the gap and overhaul the London Broncos. But the pitch could be the big factor. We've said already that the Broncos' fitness is questionable. They haven't had as much pre-season build-up time as these other sides. This pitch is really, really heavy, and it could tell in the later stages of the game.
Yes, it is not a summer field. There's no doubt about that. But Barnett has got a penalty here.
A little doubt that Shields was all over him. No option from referee Ian Smith. He really has caned them, but as yet, still to call the two skippers to offer them the chance of the yellow card.
Tony Mestrov in possession, substituting all 3 in Super League so far. Mestrov plays the ball. Here now is Moran. He gets it away to Dimmock. And Dimmock stands again in the tackle. Johnson feeds off him. Yonkers, though, got to him with the tackle.
Little doubt that the reason why Andy Johnson is having a field day out there is the wonderful offloading skills and the engineering from the standoff Jim Dimmock. They're working as a good unit.
This is Retchless. That's the 4th tackle. Millard's the man at dummy half. And there is Dimmock. It goes wide then to Moran. Good ball back. Dimmock takes over from Barnett. Still going, Dimmock. He is a prize asset for the London Broncos, this fellow. State of origin for New South Wales, tests for Australia, but the St Helens defence this time stands firm. That's Paul Sculthorpe who claimed the possession back.
Well, a nothing kick, really. They should have made sure that that ball went into the in-goal area. It was Fleming that tried to get it through, but you've got to make sure that you apply the pressure. Make sure that the dropout comes from underneath the sticks and that you get the possession. It's all about control. If you can do that, you'll pick up the winning pay.
Hetherington's return for Shane Millard. Millard was struggling just a little bit earlier on, seemed to be receiving treatment on the field of play. Now Hetherington has returned for him.
St Helens quite happy just to play pretty tight, short football. Nothing fancy. And in these heavy conditions, perhaps that will be the way. They may be feeling that this London side will tire, so they're being patient.
Nigel Roy with the run. 8 years in Australia with Illawarra, North Sydney and the Northern Eagles. Nigel Roy, Steele Retchless, Andrew Johnson. He saw another gap and Chris Joint filled it quickly. Hetherington now. Here is Mestrov.
Forwards doing well, getting over the advantage. Setting up now.
Dooley. Toshak. Meeting the St Helens sandwich. Hetherington again. Moran. Ball back on the inside. Barnett trying to dribble it through. Well claimed by Tim Yonkers, that.
Well, I mean, that was another wasted effort there. You've got to play the percentage. When you're leading 12-4, it isn't as though you're playing catch-up football. You're supposed to be in control of the game, and yet they're trying to do these little, silly little kicks that are not coming up. You've got to be punching it right into the in-goal area. Surely Tony Ray will be getting the message out for that.
That's well done by McDonald. He flicked the pass back to Cunningham. Cunningham keeps the movement going. Now then, Sculthorpe. Good ball to Martin, giving him a bit of width. It's with Newlove now. He escaped the clutches of Roy, but there were two swarming after Paul Newlove then. That's the 5th tackle. So expect the kick here from Sean Long, and it's wide. It's a tester. Well, claimed by Marvin Golden.
St Thomas feel that Golden is the weak link out there, but on the 2 occasions that they've tested him, he's come up trumps. That was a good take. The big fellow Iro was right in his face. Now they've got to do the hard work. Oh, that could have been another penalty. Sculthorpe went for a second bash. Oh, big hit.
Dooley to his feet. Hetherington is his dummy half. Good ball away. And Sir Richard Branson, the chairman of the London Broncos, watching on, an interested spectator here. World champions are in town. His team are ahead. Poor kick again.
Well, I don't know why they continue in this mode.
Well, Tony Ray said forget the first half, it's 0-0. Maybe that's the reason. Maybe they're trying to engineer more tries.
But they don't need them, they need position. It's very heavy out there, and trying to do dry, fancy football isn't on. It's all right saying forget about it. They're playing against the champions, you know.
And the champions are in possession with their captain, Joint. Yonkers, the dummy half. Martin. Long. Now the big fella McDonald to drive it up the middle. Interesting, last week the Saints had a promotion at Knowsley Road.
Oh, that was a bad pass. Nobody there.
They might have got away with it though, didn't they? And here's Long. Let me tell you about this promotion. There are so many big fellas in the St Helens pack. Anyone over 6'6" apparently got into Knowsley Road for free. Sculthorpe with a high kick out wide. Another tester for Golden. It's flicked back. And this will be play on. London have it.
Good
Dennis Moran was the hungrier there.
Well, they're certainly showing a lot of spirit. But they're not showing a lot of nous, I'm afraid, London. On all the occasions. Well, he had to. Well, come on, referee. We've had enough of this. We know you're in charge, but they're not taking any notice of you. It's continued throughout the game. You've kept a good control of it. But now you've got to lose your patience. I certainly am, and I'm sure the viewers are.
10.5 minutes, second half. Cram returning for Mestrov. Even though referee Ian Smith does have an earpiece, he's not connected to Steve-O. He's connected to somebody in the stands, i.e. the video referee.
Well,
and his coach, he's not listening to Steve-O, believe me.
I'm sure Ian Smith is relieved about that. Now then, they've got to make sure that this position counts.
The court in possession. They are 9-10 metres away from the line. Hetherington, the noise increases from the London supporters. Retchless, it went backwards, but Cunningham gets it just the same.
Again, missed opportunities. And it's like a cancer, it'll start spreading through the team. Dropping the football like that, the mistakes. It looks as though, I hate to say it if you're a Broncos fan, but it looks as though they're getting tired of the London outfit.
That was Newlove. This is Martin. He comes down the short side. He has got Steve Hall with him, but that's a good tackle by Nigel Roy. Long, high kick, another tester over on that far side to Golden. It's collected though by St Helens. Flick pass, back to nobody. Remember, this is the last tackle. It's come back in field. St Helens running strongly, keeping the ball alive. Yonkers, stretchless. Ping ball stuff, it's with Hoppy. Hoppy to Long. Saints running them off their feet. Joint, magnificent. Magnificent try that was from Chris Joint. They ran the Broncos ragged on the last tackle. And Chris Joint comes up with his first try of the year, and it could well be the turning point in this match. St Helens are back within 4.
I think you're right, Eddie. You've got to give them a pat on the back, this St Helens outfit. They just never give in, do they? Resolute, they just keep the ball going. They really should have cut them down. Dimmock tried hard. Hoppy did ever so well. Martin knew that he had the skipper out wide. 7 pairs of hands. Hoppy gets it away, then he gets into the play yet again. The second effort. Beautiful pass. Dimmock tries to squeeze them down. Jonker's got it away too. The champions at their best, and the skipper, Captain Courageous, Joint, gets the Saints well and truly back into this game.
Yes, he's having a fantastic season again, Chris Joint. Tries in all 3 meetings against the Broncos last year, and Long has missed with another. Spattered in mud, Sean Long. Well, we haven't seen a goal kicked yet. It's 12-8. And each conversion attempt has been missed.
Well,
but maybe that's the moment when Saints get the belief back.
And London, I'm sure, will be looking at the missed opportunities to get a wonderful field position, which they frittered away on 4 occasions. And now they find themselves being hunted.
Well, there's stacks of time as well. 54 minutes. 26 remain. Wharton comes on for Golden, so the goal kicker has arrived for the Broncos, but maybe 3 kicks too late.
It's a field kicker that they want out there, never mind the goal kicker. They want someone to be able to control it instead of the silly little kicks that they've been putting through. Got to be deep, get that field position. Remember, they're still in front.
St Helens are flinging this ball around now. They're trying to run the Broncos off their feet. Johnson with a good tackle on Paul Wellens. Tim Yonkers, Tommy Martin. That's a great kick. That's the sort of kick that the Broncos should have been putting in. It just beat Steve Hall. He's not panicking, Ian Millwood.
That was always going to be the key. I'm sure that Millwood would have said to his team that London have a habit of fading in the final quarter. We're just about to get close to that now. And when you've got the experience, that kick from Tommy Martin said it all. They're not going to use the little silly chip through. They're going to make sure that they keep London well and truly well back in their own half.
55.5 minutes gone. Let's go down to Bill.
Well, we've been talking about this London Broncos kicking game and these short grubber kicks they've been putting in, the chips over the top, which just haven't been working. And Tony Ray has sent down the message to his water carriers, to Kelvin Giles is on the sidelines, to cut that out. They've got to turn Saints round, and they'll only do that with a decent kicking game, a deeper kicking game.
Well, let's hope that from the London point of view, it's not too late. But St Helens, you get the feeling here, as the true champions that they are. That's a better kick from Moran. A bit deeper anyway. You get the feeling here that the Saints have got the sniff of something.
Well, they're still defending resolutely as this London outfit side, but they are not panicking, are the champions. And they certainly look confident. They're playing solid basic football, and it is getting really, really heavy. Look how it's cutting up out there. Cramp will be taking its toll late in this game.
Yes, fitness will play a key, there's no doubt about that. Now, if there was any doubt before the match, just take a look at the field here at the Valley.
Well, it's at times like this, Eddie, you look through the list on either side. Have they got the individual skills like Sean Long? Dimmock certainly has the strength, and he also has the guile, but do London have someone out there that can pull something really out of the bag? That's going to be the difference. He can. He's certainly shown that in the first half, Richie Barnett. But St Helens have so much power, so much strike power out there.
And at the moment it's the Saints who are defending. London in possession with Toshak, Hetherington, Cram. Flicks the ball back on his inside, but Cunningham stuck to that particular player like glue. Dimmock, restless. Back it goes to Johnson. He skips away from Fairley almost. Ball's flicked all over the shop.
That'll be a knock on the Saints.
No, play on.
Well, there was a knock-on from a Saints player there. They've got away with it. It was real messy, and yet again London failed. There was someone onto him. There was claims that Tommy Martin was over the top, but there appeared to be a knock-on. They've got an opening.
They have. It's Sean Hoppy.
Experience there from Hoppy. Made sure he came in field. Didn't go anywhere near the whitewash.
Saints rolling forward again. This is Wellens.
Great defence. Cram and Retchless. They'll need more of that, though, to keep the Saints out, I'm sure.
Martin now. Little drop of the shoulder. Yonkers skips away from one, skips away from two, gives it to Long. Long has got Hetherington ahead of him, so finds Wellens. Wellens takes on Sosie with Retchless. Sosie brings him down. Still 2 tackles remaining as Long attacks the line again. Long has ghosted through. Oh, if he'd have taken that in, Sculthorpe.
It was try time, and he knows it too. First real chance that we've seen of Sean Long's explosive speed. Gets the half break, gets the pass away. He had to reach behind him, and Sculthorpe has bombed it.
He just had to reach behind him, and Moran, that's a blow for the Broncos. Moran is off. He's been struggling for a wee while with a shoulder injury, and the last time that Dennis Moran disappeared from the field was against the Leeds Rhinos, and London collapsed. Mind you, Jim Dimmock wasn't there then, and neither was Richie Barnett, but Dennis Moran has got problems.
That is a bitter blow. The combination, as we mentioned, with Dimmock and Moran has certainly been working out there tonight.
And of course, Michael Gillette is still out injured for London, so it gets no easier.
Well, it's a roll the sleeves up time now for Jim Dimmock. And this guy, he's had a big game, Andy Johnson.
He has. He's been impressive, hasn't he?
Run himself to water. They really have now to make a big decision, and I think that they've got to be a little bit more adventurous, London. I don't think they'll be able to hang on just to the 4-point lead.
Well, it's the last tackle, and Dimmock chips it over the top again. Another nothing kick, really. I know what it was in his mind, but they should have been defending on the St Helens try line. We've reached the hour mark. It's a 4-point gap, and it's the time when we ask you to name your man of the match. 09009 10 10 13 1550 92 35 56 in the Republic of Ireland. Agree with Phil Clark and Steve-O's choice, you win yourself a couple of grand final tickets. And I have a funny feeling that the man of the match will emerge in the next 20 minutes somehow. Iro runs flat across the defence. Straightens up now. Hauled down by Andy Johnson.
Well, Bill Arthur mentioned that Tony Ray sent the message down. Well, it certainly hasn't got out to his players.
Lovely ball from Martin. That's the last tackle, and I don't think he heard it there, Paul Wellens.
Well, that's a bit of mistake.
And there's 2 London Broncos. Well, no, there's Chris Joynt down, there's Andy Johnson down, and there are London players with their hands on their knees and breathing deeply, just as Joynt is there. I think he's been winded, Chris Joynt.
Not surprising. You can see there it is extremely heavy conditions, and that takes it out of the legs. Also the energy, of course, but well, I mentioned that Dimmock, he's got all the experience, but that little nothing kick yet again when they should have been way downfield. Naive yet again from the Broncos.
Wharton gets to his feet. This now is Barnett, New Zealand World Cup captain. He had a wonderful series. This is his first start here at the Valley this year. There he is again in a dummy half. Here's Dimmock. That's a better kick. But Hoppy read the script.
Well, that's what was wanted a long, long time ago. Now you try to get the force, and with wet conditions, try to get the mistake. Just basic rugby league football, that's all that's needed.
Sean Long. Ooh, that was a terrible ball to Newlove. I think he's got London for the knock-on.
We've got Nigel Roy going in for the football. I think he did get a touch to it. It's a fine effort So long delayed the pass, and yeah, no doubt in it. Roy certainly got a fingertip to it before Paul Newlove. So be head and feed to Saints.
Well, Chris Joynt took a bang earlier on, just a few moments ago, and John Stankiewicz has come on. You'll be able to tell Stankiewicz because he is in the brightest, whitest jersey on the field. It's one of those nights.
Sure it is. Well, you see Tony Martin now coming from the centre. He's playing in the standoff position.
There's Stankiewicz. He offloaded. Newlove. Back to Fairley. Now it's with Sculthorpe. Sculthorpe is drilled into the mud. Fairley has lost it. Sosi gets it back for the Broncos.
That's a mistake they were looking for. And that's why it's so important to get this kicking game sorted out. All right, the mistake came on the halfway line, but you've got to play for percentage.
Andy Johnson.
He's led the way all night, is Johnson.
He's played really well. One of the best matches I've seen him have for London. Barnett. Hetherington. Sosi. Yusuf Sosi. He replaced Justin Dooley last Sunday. He's replaced him again here tonight. Dimmock. Barnett slides the kick through. Oh! It was grounded. It was grounded in goal by Kevin Iro. Tony Martin was celebrating a hat-trick.
Well, that's much better. That's a mistake that you look for. And now they'll get the possession. That's what they should have been doing from the restart in the second half. Tony Ray knows it. The players have not responded to it, but they have now.
Tell you what though, Steve-o, how many great games have we seen between these two clubs in the Super League era, and notably right here at the Valley. There's been some rich entertainment over the past 5 years, and this is right up there with them.
All credit to both sides. They certainly do. It's always tense.
Well, London are a desperate team. They are desperate for a first win under Tony Ray. They have to travel to Bradford the week after the semi-finals in 2 weeks' time, so that is going to be a hard ask for them as well.
Now, do they think about the 1 point, or do they just want to apply the pressure?
Dimmock's applying the pressure. He bounced off Cunningham. He's still going, is Dimmock. And he's just 2.5 metres short. Hetherington, will he pinch one himself? He will, you know. Hetherington's pinched one. The referee hasn't given it. Video ref to decide. He was unsighted, but I don't think there's much wrong with this.
He gets it down. The arms underneath to start with. But Hetherington, the captain, has scored a vital try. Tremendous effort there.
Well, if it's given by the video referee, it's a carbon copy of the effort that he has scored.
It's a try.
It's a try. The reason why the referee had to be told via his intercom to the video referee is that I'm afraid our big screen here at the Valley has blown a fuse for the moment. But Jason Hetherington's come up with a vital try, and as I say, carbon copy of the one he scored against Leeds 3 weeks ago.
Look how low he goes there. Nothing that Peter Shields could do about it. What a great effort. Shields got his arm underneath it the first attempt, but Hetherington's power and strength gets him over there. Remember, the kick downfield, put him in a position, come up with a mistake. It was a mistake from Iro. He was forced to ground the ball dead in goal. They got the ball back, and they've been rewarded.
And Richard Branson looks pleased, and he will be if Wharton kicks this. It'll be a 10-point lead. It's a 10-point advantage for the Broncos. 18-8. The champions up against it. Could this be a famous night for Tony Ray?
That'll help shove the oxygen through the body. We posed the question at half-time. Could the Broncos run out the full 80? There's still plenty of time to go. They know it as well, but what a tremendous effort from Hetherington.
Remember, they have never beaten St Helens on home soil in their history. They're on the verge of something big, and they've got 13 minutes to go.
Will it be lucky or unlucky 13? That depends on who you support, of course. But we're in for a real thriller. Saints won't give in. They won't throw the towel, that is for sure. They're not that type of side. They're not champions for nothing.
Retchless with the drive in, and Stankovic stands his ground.
You can see that the Broncos have lifted. It was just what the doctor ordered.
That's a great kick from Dimmock. It's hanging. Golden's after it. It's well claimed, though. Terrific claim by Sean Hoppy. Well, let's go down to Phil Clark. Are we on the verge of a real turn-up, Phil?
Well, I'm not sure. They call it the valley. It's more like the swamp out there at the moment. And St Helens are never more dangerous when they're behind on the scoreboard and the clock's ticking away. Remember that try against Bradford in the playoffs last year? That's when they're at the best. And you can see the urgency now in the Broncos' defence. They know they've really got to work hard, communicate as the kick goes through now. St Helens wanting to turn them around and force an error down at this end of the field. Brilliant kick from Tommy Martin. He's pretty pleased with that.
Fantastic kick. And
he wants to see if it's a 40-20.
He's not sure because of the markings here are being rubbed out by the mud, but I think the dotted line is a 40-metre mark.
That's fine. No doubt in my mind, and I'm sure there's no doubt in the video referee, who will pass it on to Ian Smith.
Well, he doesn't have to. The fuse has been fixed. Scrum to the attack. That's St Helens. And that's why Sean Long's in possession. Bullet pass out wide.
What a great tackle. Fleming.
Greg Fleming. Big fellow Iro. Held up a metre short. Sean Hoppy's behind him. On to Wellens. Inside then to Long. Long then back to Sculthorpe. The Saints have just lost a bit of ground there. A bit, about 20 metres. But here they come again now. Stankovic.
Oh, great defence. Bit high there, though. Dimmock came in really high. Lucky to get away with that.
Newlove to Long. Long to Sculthorpe. Oh, inside and dropped. And they've got it back via Wharton to Tony Martin and Marvin Golden.
Another great tackle from Greg Fleming. He took the gamble, went low as the ball was coming through. And in these heavy conditions, the ball was coughed up yet again. Listen to this crowd here. They've had little to cheer down at the Valley for many, many months.
Well, just 3 wins throughout the whole of last year at home. Huddersfield, Hull and Halifax beaten here. This could be a very, very good night at the office for Tony Ray and his team. Retchless to drive it in.
Common sense, that's the message that'll be sent out from Tony Ray. Nothing silly, nothing stupid. Get into a position, make sure the kick's good.
And that is a good kick.
That's fine, it'll eat up the clock. The experience coming through now from Jim Dimmock. He's been in control throughout this game. He's lost his half-back partner, Dennis Moran. He's taken over completely out there now. And what a fine job he's doing.
Not 100% fit, Jim Dimmock, and he held his hand up in training yesterday and said he wanted to play in this match. Boy, is Tony Ray pleased that he did. 09009 1010 13 for your man of the match votes in the UK. 1550 92 35 56 for calls from the Republic of Ireland. Tickets to the grand final up for grabs. Cunningham, not held, play on, gets the pass away, Long flicks out the back door, Yonkers, but enveloped by Greg Fleming. Stankovic, Long, width here.
They've got to take a gamble, the Saints. They've got to keep it alive. Remember, Chris Joint came up with a magnificent try. That's what they've got to try to repeat. It's catch-up football from the Saints now. London are tackling desperately.
Sean Long, he hoists the kick. Roy is after this. Oh, he's made a mess of it. He got it back, though, fortunately. But it's going to be a scrum to St Helens. And these are now nervous moments for the London coach.
That's the reason why you kick deep, to try to force a mistake, and it's come from Nigel Roy. Tony Ray looking at the clock. How long is there to go? There's plenty, I can tell you.
8.5 minutes. It's a chance out wide here. Hoppy. They're 3 meters short of the line. With Long.
Ooh, that
now with
jumps
Yonkers.
forward there. Desperation defence.
Long again. Hits Tommy Martin. They are defending for all their worth. Martin wants to get on with it quickly. Cunningham to do a Hendrickson, yes! Kieran Cunningham throws St. Helens the lifeline. Down on the walkie-talkie, Tony Ray. Shore up those defences.
Yet again, the simple mistake, this time from the wing of Nigel Roy. Gave them the possession. And how many times has he done this to get St. Helens out of a scrape? It was Hetherington's turn a few moments ago. Now his opposite number, Cunningham, has done it yet again. We're in for a nail-biter. What a thriller this is going to be. They never let us down, do they?
And neither do the two hookers here, Kieran Cunningham and Jason Hetherington. People say they are the two best in the world, and tonight they have let nobody down. Long with a vital kick. He scoops it over the bar. 4 points the difference. The clock will be interesting. 18 points to 14. Can St. Helens snatch a victory from the jaws of defeat?
Well, they pass Masters at it.
6.5 minutes to go.
Just ask the Bradford fans, they know only too well when Joint in the final seconds turn it around. It's got to be a deep kick from Barnett, and it is. Defence has got to be solid, but there's still plenty of time.
Well, St. Helens, as you mentioned, the Bradford match in the playoffs last year, they scored with 2 seconds remaining. They were in overtime, and they flung the ball about from one side of the field to the other.
That was a night you nearly lost your voice,
I think we all did.
Sadly, you got it back.
6 minutes to go.
Well, you've got to hand it to this Saints outfit. Their composure has been superb.
Yes, they haven't panicked. They know that the time is still on their side. Long with a kick through. Dimmock took Tommy Martin out then off the ball. This is Richie Barnett. Good little run from Barnett, that was.
Great kick, good chase. Equal to the task was the fullback.
Long did well to bring Roy to ground.
Now it's the Saints' turn to try to pin them down in the quarter. Make sure that when London do kick, that it won't be far upfield.
Good defence from St. Helens. They're swarming after the ball. Toshak gets to his feet. Millard is back. Here is Johnson. Last one. Well, it's got to be a deep kick here. And there it is all. It's not out on the full. I thought for a moment he'd sliced it out.
Certainly did. It's spiraled around, but just hesitation allowed London those extra yards to get upfield.
Good chase.
That was a great chase.
Wellens.
Well, Tony Ray said at Halifax he was happy with the way that they tackled. He's got to be pleased if they can hang on to this one.
They will be looking at the clock anxiously, and Ian Millwood is looking at that big screen with our clock that's counting down, and I'm sure Tony Ray is doing the same.
Both sides looking very tired, and when you're so tired it comes down to one mistake, one missed tackle that lets the gap through.
And here is Long, and he goes back that way, and that was a brilliant take in by Wellens. That's the last one for St. Helens. Now then, Long will hoist the kick, and away they go to Tester for Barnett. Oh, they've made a right porridge of that. New Love.
Take the first knock on.
I was about to say the safest pair of hands in the business belong to Richie Barnett, and he and Nigel Roy, I think it was, got in a right tangle. It's head and feet at the scrum to St Helens.
Well, what a time to come up with a mistake. He's had a fine match as Richie Barnett. It's a beautiful kick.
Sculthorpe from the base of the scrum to Long. Long running flat, and he's tracked all the way by Fleming.
He's worked overtime, Fleming. Come up with some absolutely crucial tackles.
Hoppy drives in. Desperate moments for the London defence. Big drive from Fairley. Can London hold them out? Graham's all over him. Cunningham, is he going to pinch another? He is, you know. He is, you know. Cunningham thinks he scored.
He's really got it down.
The video referee called on again to make a huge call at the Valley between London and St Helens. Cunningham thinks he might have pinched the match here.
He's confident, but did he lose it as he was going down? No, that's a try. And right in front of the sticks. They've pinched it at the Saints. The mistake first from Roy that brought about the try for Cunningham. Then Barnett comes up with a mistake, and Cunningham has done it yet again. Magnificent effort, it's TRY.
It is Cunningham with his second try in the last 10 minutes, with the conversion to come. Remember, scores now a level, and Tony Ray cannot believe it. Tony Ray cannot believe what has happened to him. This fellow, Ian Millwood, is dipped in gold, but this one, Kieran Cunningham, is one of the great players in Super League.
He's got to get this over yet, Eddie. I've seen him miss from here.
In conditions like this, this is a vital kick, needless to say. Sean Long, probably to win the match. If they hang on, Tony Ray can't believe his luck. If they hang on, St Helens have got out of jail, and he knows it too.
But fair credit to the Saints outfit. We were saying all the way through this second half how important the kick and chase. Forced the mistake. 2 mistakes from London, and they've come up with the trumps.
And what's more, there's another mistake, because Brett Wharton went for the short kick-off, and all he did was slice it straight up in the air. 1 minute and 20 seconds remaining.
Well, they had to try something.
Saints with a penalty on halfway. Martin will just bang it over there into the stand. Well, entertainment par excellence again from these two.
You talk about a kick in the ribs. That was a Liverpool kiss all combined in one hit, wasn't it? It just shows you the composure from the champions. They are never done, are they? We said they wouldn't throw the towel in, they didn't.
Well, that's why they are Super League champions, and why at this moment they are rightly claiming to be champions of the world. Half a minute to go. Cunningham. Fairley. What a workout this has been. A week before a Challenge Cup semi-final. Wide they go. Martin dabs the ball in goal.
It'll be a dropout.
Wellens was hunting it, and they've got the dropout. The game's all over. St Helens have won. This remarkable record of the Saints in the capital continues, but you have to feel sorry for the Broncos. Last throw of the dice here, this tackle, and that's it. Oh, Tony Ray, you have to feel sorry for him. A grimace. Such is the world of coaching. Kieran Cunningham has had a magnificent influence on the last 10 minutes of this match. Let's go down to Ian Millwood. No wonder he's scratching his head. He's with Bill.
Ian, that's called leaving it late.
Yeah, we weren't the best team. London were the best team. They were very unlucky to lose tonight. Can I just wish my wife happy 40th birthday back home?
Well, you got there in the end, but that's very generous of you to say London were the best side.
Oh, they were. They're the best team for 80 minutes. Yeah, I mean, we're lucky to get out of this.
Thanks, Ian.
Yeah, no time.
Well, there you are. He said it. Lucky to get out of it, the Saints. But as we have been saying up here, they are champions. And tonight they have proved exactly why. London held the lead for so long. In the end, Cunningham's 2 tries and the boot of Sean Long has won it 20 points to 18. Kieran Cunningham, a priceless asset. Vital Super League points for the champions. They're in the top 5 tonight. They've won a fabulous match.
The Force is with you, young Skywalker. But you are not a Jedi yet.
The ultimate in family entertainment.
Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father.
Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. Tonight at 8 on Sky Premiere.
The world says, be here, be there, be everywhere. Genie says, be calm. Soon, Genie 1 will put all your messages, email, voicemail, fax, in one place. The place. Wherever you happen to be. Genie. Same world, different planet.
The search for intelligent life. That is my life. Waiting for something to respond to me. But the answer is only miles, not light years away. The new Toyota Avensis with satellite navigation and a responsive VVTi engine. So, if it's out there, what am I doing here?
The new Toyota Avensis.
Tom!
Does your cat want to be fed differently? 90% of the cats we asked did. In a nationwide taste test, 90% preferred Whiskas pouches to tins every mealtime.
Tom Green here at Muscle Beach with some big, tough weightlifters.
We're going to show how new Right Guard Extreme Sport works even under the most extreme conditions.
Back, stop!
Uh-oh.
Run, go down the kitchen, he's gonna get you! He got ya! The extreme protection against odor and wetness. Smells good.
New Right Guard Extreme Sport. Get extreme, get Right Guard.
Ouch.
If you could bank a priceless moment, what would it be?
Swimming with dolphins. When my partner and I first laid eyes on each other.
My favorite white cat, Jasmine, went missing for 2 weeks. When she came back through the cap flap, joy.
Lloyd's TSB know that little things can mean a lot.
Hello.
And we have a lot of little improvements planned for this year. Lloyd's TSB, your life, your bank. The world says no jeans, no trainers. Genie says no ties. Genie mobile internet. Whether you're on Vodafone, 1-to-1, Orange or BT Cellnet, you're welcome.
It's a cruel game, this rugby league, if you're a London supporter and a London player and coach. They have lost the match by 20 points to 18. Kieran Cunningham's 2 tries in the last 10 minutes won the game for Saints and won him the Tissot watch as man of the match. Kieran Cunningham is with Bill.
Kieran, congratulations, man of the match. There's the watch that goes with it. But you left it a bit late there.
Yeah, can I just say a big thanks to Tissot for this, and a big thanks to Reebok for sponsoring through the season. Left it a bit late, I mean, understatement of the year. Don't take nothing away from London, you know. It was a terrible pitch, you know, but you know, if you go out, you're playing a Cowfield, you still got to perform. We've got some great players, and you know they're going to shock a few people this year. Get out of jail free, I think it was.
I think that's it, isn't it? You got out of jail tonight.
I had it in my back pocket, got a couple of late tries, and you know, I think it was in the back of our minds for the semi-final next week. You know, it showed with Leeds last night as well. But you know, we've got the 2 points, we've got the game out of the way, and you know, I look forward to next week now.
Thanks, Kieran. Well done.
All right, cheers, Bill.
Well, Peter Stanley from London. I wonder if he's a Saints fan or a Broncos fan. But Peter, you picked the man of the match. You're off to Old Trafford on October the 13th. I've got a sneaking feeling you might be seeing St Helens there again. But what about poor old Tony Ray? What do you say to him? Bill, what do you say to him?
Tony, they're saying, is it a heartbroken Tony Ray?
Oh, no, I think we've shown up. You know, people are asking, could we match it with the big four? Well, we can. And that's proved to ourselves out there today. And it's part of the process, again, to make sure that, you know, what you talk about, you can do. And we were fantastic. So there's a lot of courage out there, a lot of ability out there, a lot of football. You know, that's a real plus for us. It wasn't just all about digging deep. We played pretty talented stuff. So very disappointed for them they weren't rewarded for that. The credit to the, you know, St Helens, they hung in there at the end, and if you do that, you're a chance, and they're more than a chance. They got the result.
Thanks, Tony.
Cheers.
Well, he's taking a very positive spin on it, and so he should. It was a magnificent performance from his team. But, you know, St Helens, I'm going to compare them to the Manchester United team that tops the Premiership. St Helens never, ever know when they're beaten, and neither do Manchester United in football. Steve-O, it's as simple as that. This is a champion side.
Without a doubt, but they got their tactics right, didn't they? Okay, they knew that it was heavy conditions. They knew that they couldn't get through with their skill, their sidestepping, or with their passing. But the one thing that they did know was to make sure that they got their kicking game right. Come up with the 2 mistakes, and that's what they did. The first one came when Roy made the mistake, and Cunningham went in there. Phil is not only the best hooker in the world at the moment, but it must be related to Houdini.
Well, I think the first one, they weren't too aware of it. The second one, they were aware. They just couldn't do anything to stop him. He is so strong. Went higher on the second tackle, on the second try rather, sorry, and still managed to get over. Like you say, they're just a side who never know when they're beaten and can score. They've got 13 players on the field at all time who can all come up with something to score a try.
Well, I must say that the biggest thing that Tony Ray perhaps can get out of this, okay, he was pretty confident after the game. He must be inside shocked. But I think the fact that he knows now he will learn a bitter lesson, the fact that he's got to make sure that he gets a kicking game. Now, we heard Bill Arthur say that he got the message down, stop these little kicks over the top, make sure there's a good kick and chase, but they failed to do that until about 15 minutes too late, and by then the game was gone.
Yeah, that first 20 minutes of the second half was a element of the game, I think, when they lost the match. They did 4 chip over the tops and none of them came off. I've never really been a fan of it as a tactic, especially in these conditions. I'm not really sure what the thoughts of the players were at the time, but it didn't come off, and it really allowed St Helens just to get out when they had a bit of pressure on the line and really then get on with it. One of the tries, 11 people touching their hands, the ball going through so many players in the St Helens side, and that's why they are such a great team. I think the London Broncos doctors could be pretty busy tonight because there'll be 1 or 2 broken hearts in the dressing room.
Yes, although Tony Ray really did put a very positive view on the whole match. We saw as our cameras picked him up towards the end of the game and on the final side, and he was so disappointed, wasn't he? It was such a tragedy for him. But St Helens are not champions for nothing. And Steve-O, when you talk about the kicking game, remember that 40-20 late in the second half? That was the turning point, really.
Certainly was, and Tommy Martin, well, he was non-existent throughout this game. They did a good job of closing them down, as they did with Sean Long. But it's just that talent that comes out right at the end, just when they need it, and that's a team of champions, and St Helens are certainly that.
Yes, they take the victory with them now into the semi-finals of the Challenge Cup next weekend, where they will play the Leeds Rhinos. You'll have highlights here on Sky Sports, and we'll be looking forward to that particular semi-final and the Bradford and Warrington semi-final in Rugby League World on Wednesday at 8 o'clock, Sky Sports 3, when Steve-O and I will be joined in the studio by Martin of Fire. So I hope that you will join us for that then. Fantastic match here at London once again. They turn it up for us every time, don't they, London and Saints? We've enjoyed every minute of it. Trust you have as well. Bye-bye. He's got Martin in support, he won't need it. Johnson gets the try. Will he pitch one himself? He will, you know. Cunningham, is he going to pitch another? He is, you know.
By Harry Gratian.
Hello and welcome to a Mother's Day edition of the Super League show. The chips are down for Leeds as Lamb puts the boot in. London lead, but lose again. And what's happening at Wilderspool? We go behind the scenes. Good morning, with me in the studio for the second time this season, the former Great Britain international and Wigan Warriors star, Dennis Bett. Now remember, we want to hear from you during the programme. You can contact us by email at super.league@bbc.co.uk. Now, Abi Akoku of the Bradford Bulls is our special guest, so if you've got any points you'd like me to put to him, please get in touch. But we start with the action from the JJB Stadium on Friday. Season going. They've taken an early lead in most of their games this season, but finished on the losing side. The visitors to the Valley, reigning Super League champions, St Helens. Your commentator again, Dave Woods.
London moving closer, and they've made a good start here. Here's Dooley from dummy half. Little inside ball for Moran, who just tries to take on that St Helens defence for pace. Hetherington, outside to Dimmock. Ball back inside again, and Retchless for the line. They're keeping it alive well here, London. Moran again. Little chip from him as well. They're chasing, and Martin's in. Tony Martin with a try. What a start by London.
Let's just check the onside on the ground.
Well, they're just making sure he was onside here. That was a clever chip, and he was clearly onside. This will be a try for London. What a start for them. Certainly no problems with the grounding, despite the best attempts of Wellens. Well, they'll be encouraged by this, London. Their good, bright start, but we've seen them so often in recent weeks make good, bright starts and aren't able to keep on that lead. So they'll need as many points in the bag as they can get, and they have a chance to break clear again. Down the middle, 20 yards away. This is a good run from Barnett, a fullback, out to Martin, who can see the line and scores. And it's 8-0 for London. St Helens desperate to get back in the game now. There's Nicol. Oh, he's thrown the ball away. London have possession back again. Dooley, he's going to be held up just short of the halfway line. Well, there's the pass. Oh, whether he heard a call or not sure. London in possession, though. And a chance to break again. This is Andy Johnson. The former Wigan man will put his head down and go for the line. It's a third London Broncos try, and they lead by 12 points to 0. The home fans are loving this.